I I don't really know what to say. Um, I honestly don't. I what we just saw tonight at Survivor Series may have just been one of the most chaotic and indeed one of the most historic War Games matches of all time. For a multitude of reasons. For one, the men's War Games match literally lived up to the hype, but with an added twist. And the second reason is the Intercontinental title match that we saw later on in the show. So I'm not gonna waste any time because I actually have to. I actually have to get in bed in a few hours. Because obviously you guys know Sunday is Yu-Gi-Oh! Edison Sunday, where I go over to King Fandom on Sherman Way and Canoga to play a few rounds of Yu-Gi-Oh! Edison, and then I usually head over to Bear Cave in Northridge, depending on how many people show up to King Fandom, to work another round of Edison. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting to say the very least. I will say, first off, I don't even know how many people are going to show up tomorrow for Edison, so I have no idea. I might not, I don't even know if I'll go. But, excuse me, but I'm not going to waste any time. I'm just going to get straight into it because I will say that this truly lived up to all the hype. And if I do say so myself, I think for this year alone, this year 2025 and even last year 2024, the PLEs have been nothing but red hot. Obviously, last year's WrestleMania in Philly, excuse me, we saw Cody Rhodes finally finish the story. We saw Cody have such a historic year-long run as WWE champion, which is amazing, which was incredible. We got to see Brock Lesnar return, John Cena's retirement tour. A lot has happened within the last couple years. Excuse me, since Triple H took over as the head of creative full time in WWE. So he's delivered quite a few bangers over the last couple years, and this time was no different. But Survivor Series kicks off with the women's War Games match as it featured Becky Lynch, Lash Legend, Nia Jax, and the women's tag team champions, the Kabuki Warriors, known of Team Asuka. And then you had AJ Lee, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, the former tag team champions, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley of Team Mommy. And the crazy thing is that there's a reason why Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are the queens of War Games. It is because they know the dangers of War Games. They've been inside War Games before, and they know how to get the job done. And tonight they actually did. They actually did. But how exactly? Well, the order of entry became a little bit interesting compared to the past year's War Games, because normally the combatants would be locked in shark cages, but this time, because it was inside Petco Park, shoutouts to the San Diego Padres, Shout outs to San Diego and the Padres. Um, the order of entry became a little bit different because the order of entry was drawn randomly this time, and the order of entry went as follow: Charlotte Flair, Asuka, Io Sky, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Kairi Sane, AJ Lee, Nia Jax, Rhea Ripley, and Lash Legend, which, excuse me, to which, in my opinion, I feel like that was the correct move. In terms of the order of entry, 100% that was the correct move. And the reason why I say that is because this is only AJ's second match back in WWE. Her first match came about at WrestlePalooza a couple months ago, where she made Becky Lynch tap out to the Black Widow, and that was in a mixed tag. This time things were a little bit interesting as there were a few weapons that appeared inside WarGames on the women's side. We saw trash cans, we saw a trash can lid, we saw a steel chain, we saw kendo sticks. It was carnage. Excuse me. It was pure carnage. Several near falls. Lash Legend became damn near became the ultimate difference maker going into that match for Team Asuka, but it did not pay off as the final moments of the match we got to see Io Sky pull off the meme once again, using the steel trash can to pull off some big ass move off the top of WarGames, but you would think it would have been a crossbody or a moonsault. No, she pulled off a swanton bomb from the top of WarGames through literally damn near every single member of Team Asuka except for Becky, because she moved out of the way, using the trash can. Who the fuck does that? I'll tell you who. Io Sky, that's who. But that didn't matter for Becky because she tried to escape, and it did not work out as Alexa Bliss attempted to hit Sister Abigail onto Becky Lynch. Becky gets out of the way. She ends up getting hit with a riptide, and then taps out to the Black Widow courtesy of AJ Lee, and thus AJ Lee wins WarGames for Team Rhea. Now the question becomes this: now that the scores are settled, will it truly be over for any of these women? The answer: no. And here's why. First up, Bliss and Flair, they want their rematch for the women's tag team titles. They never got their rematch since losing the titles a few weeks ago at the hands of Lash Legend and Nia Jax. Second of all, both Lash and Nia want their shot at the women's tag team titles. So I can honestly say that that's going to be very interesting, an interesting matchup to say the very least. As far as Rhea and Io, no one really knows what's going to be next for them. Obviously, yes, they both want to become women's world champion at some point. I think for right now, because that Stephanie McMahon is red hot right now as women's world champion, because that she's right now on the top of the women's division on Raw. I think, in my opinion, the best choice of action for Rio, obviously Io and Rhea, is for them to go after the women's tag team titles, because I think honestly, the amount of damage that those two can do as tag team champions is immaculately insane. Like, come on. I mean, it's like even if they lose those titles at a later time, who's not to say that who's not to say that they won't become that they won't stay friends, right? Seriously. And then as far as AJ and Becky go, I mean, we all know Becky will never be done with AJ. let's just be real. She will never be done with AJ unless Becky ends up winning and is like, you know what, I won. Fuck AJ. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Oh wait, Maxine Dupree still has my title. You know what? I'll go after her. Literally, that's Becky Lynch's game plan. Find a way to finally defeat AJ, then try to recapture the women's Intercontinental title, now being held by Maxine Dupree, which congrats to her, by the way. The possibilities are out there. But this will never be done. I think the only way it can be done is if all that happens, right? Is if Rhea and Io become tag team champions, and if Becky Lynch finally puts an end to her rivalry with AJ Lee, which it could happen at any given time. But shout outs to AJ Lee for winning WarGames. Never would have imagined her inside WarGames, but here we are. Speaking of war, next up, the men's Intercontinental title was defended as John Cena defended against Dirty Dominic Mysterio, the current AAA Mega Champion. If I'm being honest here, I never would have imagined that this would be John Cena's last PLE ever. I never would have imagined. Never in my wildest dreams. But here we are. And if I'm being completely honest here, the way it ended, I don't think it should have ended the way it did. And the reason why is because we all know Dominic Mysterio cannot get the job done on his own. We all know that for a fact. He's always had to rely on Liv Morgan. He's always had to rely on Raquel, Roxanne, Finn Balor, JD McDonough, literally the entire Judgment Day to bail him out, which was the reason why Dom became AAA Mega Champion in the first place back in September. That was almost 4 months ago. Think about that. That was almost 4 months ago. And he's been champion ever since. Tonight was no different. We all thought that Dominic Mysterio had indeed suffered a devastating shoulder injury, but obviously Raquel and Roxanne, they ended up pulling a fast one on the referee, and it did not work out. It just completely backfired on Dom, as the referee literally knew that Raquel and Roxanne would get involved, so he ejected both ladies from ringside. He gets taken down. Balor and McDonough show up, and that backfired on both of them as John Cena hit them both with an attitude adjustment, and then out comes Liv Morgan. There were rumors that she was not supposed to be slated to come back until the Royal Rumble next year. That's in less than a month. Less than 2 months. Less than 2 months. But she shows up, slaps Dirty Dom for no reason at all, embraces John Cena, and then kicks him low. Dom hits John Cena with the 619. IC title to the face of John Cena by Liv Morgan. Frog splash by Dirty Dom. Two-time Intercontinental Champion Dominic Mysterio. Honestly, I don't know if that was the correct move. But at this point, there's really not much we can say about it, because let's be real, John Cena is never going to get that rematch. And the reason being, he only has one date left. That is in 2 weeks. 2 weeks in Washington, D.C. at Saturday night's main event. So it could literally be anybody. It could be Solo Sikoa. It could be Gunther. It could be Jey Uso. Or it could be LA Knight. The possibilities are out there. But I guess congrats to Dominic Mysterio is in order. I'm not so sure what the next plan will be for Dominic. But I will say, if I'm being real, he has grown so much over the last 5 years. And again, this dates all the way back to the pandemic when he had his first match in WWE against Seth Rollins in a street fight. Think about that. A street fight in his in-ring WWE debut. Think about that. Think about that, you guys. And since then, he's won Tag Team Gold. He's won the NXT North American title twice. He's now a 2-time Intercontinental Champion. And he's also the AAA Mega Champion as well. And he's really coming on his own. Like he's literally not I shouldn't have said it like that. He's basically breaking out of his shell, if you will. He's truly become the man that he was always destined to be. But I feel like because that Rey Mysterio himself, his own father, Rey Mysterio, doesn't have a whole lot of time himself, I think the only way that they can reconcile is if Rey Mysterio were to defeat his own son for either the AAA Mega title or the IC title at a later time, which could happen at any time. It can happen. It can happen at Saturday night's main event. It can happen at AAA's next big show, I believe on December 20th, literally a few days before Christmas. The possibilities are out there, but congrats to Dirty Dom on being a 2-time champion, and congrats to John Cena on becoming #Grand Slam Cena. That brings us to the women's world title between Stephanie Vaquer and Nikki Bella. If I'm being honest, Nikki Bella had no shot. Let's just be real. Let's just be real. She had no shot of winning, and she had no business even attempting to go after the women's world title. No business whatsoever. But here we are. She goes after the women's world title held by Stephanie Vaquer. And yeah, she hit Stephanie Vaquer with the Rack Attack 2.0. That backfired because, well, Stephanie Vaquer's foot got underneath the rope. Stephanie Vaquer hits Nikki Bella with the double kiss onto the announce table and then in the ring, and then hits her with the SVB. That didn't work. Finally hits her with the spiral tap and retains the women's world title. Now, as far as what's next for both women, the possibilities are out there. But I can honestly say that we could potentially see a lengthy reign for Stephanie Vaquer as Women's World Champion, which could potentially lead to her having a match with Naomi at WrestleMania if Naomi returns to WWE on time. Because obviously we know that she's still under maternal leave because of her pregnancy. Congrats to her and Big Jim, by the way. I mean, who knows? I mean, we could see her become 2-time Money in the Bank winner. Who knows? Who knows? But as far as Nikki Bella goes, there are so many possibilities that that can go for Nikki, but for right now, we just gotta wait and see. And that brings us to the men's War Games match, which was by far the most chaotic War Games match ever. And the order of entry was actually something that I was vaguely expecting, but at the same time, it kind of got me a little confused at the same time. So the order of entry went as followed: CM Punk, the World Heavyweight Champion; Braun Breaker; Drew McIntyre; Cody Rhodes, the WWE Champion; Logan Paul; Jimmy Uso; Bronson Reed; Jey Uso; Brock Lesnar; Roman Reigns. We knew again. I mentioned it on, what was it, Wednesday? I mentioned it then. I'm gonna say it now. There were so many stories, so many rivalries going on within this men's War Games match, and they all just like boiled over. They all boiled over because once Cody got into the match, he accidentally hits Punk in the back, literally in the face with an elbow. That was inverted. That was a complete accident. Punk knew full well, and they all worked together as a team. Punk, Cody, Usos, Roman, they all worked together as a team, even in spite of how big all of their egos were. They worked together as a team, and we saw everything show up. We saw steel chairs, we saw tables, we saw brass knucks. We saw literally everything, and it was carnage everywhere. And once Brock Lesnar joined War Games, it was Suplex City for everyone. Oh my god, he was like, he was just like going full blown like Oprah Winfrey on her own on her own talk show, where it's like, with Brock, it's like, you get a suplex, you get a suplex, you get a suplex, you get a suplex. Oh, you're here? Guess what? You get a suplex. Guess what? Everybody gets a suplex. Literally, that was Brock Lesnar. And then once Roman Reigns showed up, it was just pure chaos. Brock Lesnar hits Roman Reigns with an F5 through the announce table. War Games begins. Paul Heyman brings brass knucks to Logan Paul, and that backfired. But it was the final moments that made us all confused as to what the fuck is going on. CM Punk came this close from winning War Games for his team. A mysterious dude in a hoodie hits Punk with a stomp, which allowed Braun Breaker to hit Punk with a spear to win War Games. This poses several questions. For one, how is Braun Breaker doing after that Doomsday device by both of the world champions? Because Braun Breaker landed on his neck. Literally on his fucking neck. So how is Braun Breaker? Is Braun Breaker going to be the next World Heavyweight Champion? Is he going to be the guy to challenge Punk between now and the Royal Rumble? And also another question is, what's next for Roman Reigns? Does he target CM Punk, or does he target Cody Rhodes for their title? Because we saw Roman Reigns extend a hand to Punk, lifted him up. Nice little fist bump. Roman tried to do that for Cody. Cody just jumped up out of the air, and Roman was like, never again. Which could be a sign that we could potentially see Cody Rhodes defend the WWE title against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, which will be, I believe, the fourth time that Cody Rhodes will be in the main event of WrestleMania. And also, also the other question is, what's in it for Brock Lesnar? What does he have? What does he gain from being in this match in the first place? I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, sure. Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar go way back. Sure, obviously they've been around each other for a little over 20 years now. But what does Brock Lesnar gain by being inside War Games? Does he get title opportunities? Does he enter the men's Royal Rumble match in Riyadh? What what does he do? What does he get in return? And the question is, was that really Seth Rollins that came back to WWE? Did Seth Rollins return to WWE to cost CM Punk War Games? Honestly, all these questions must be answered this Monday on Raw. And if they don't, I can honestly say that we could be looking at we could be looking at a WrestleMania season where both CM Punk and Cody Rhodes are going to be jockeying for position for that night 2 main event spot. Odds are it'll probably be Cody Rhodes main eventing night 1 and CM Punk main eventing night 2. There are so many possibilities with this whole ordeal. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. But excuse me. But with that being said, that'll do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel, you guys want more premium live event predictions and results in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.